Hello and welcome to this short tutorial. So in this tutorial we're going to just make a timer, a gaze timer. So we're going to press play here and we'll move up towards our cube. As we put our circle over it we can see it, we've got a 2-second timer, and then we turn the cube from blue back to red. So it's going to have a look at how you do that, how you script it, and how you make it work. It's not that hard. And I'm going to start from where we sort of left off the last time. So I've made a canvas here and I've put a circle on it, but I'll just delete them and start from scratch. Okay, so I've got my my event system in here, and none of this will work if you don't have that put in. And I've got my emulator, so I can preview it here. And then on the main camera, I've got my GVR reticle pointer. So all those need to be in place before it will work. So after that, what we need to do is on the main camera, we're going to make a canvas. Now normal canvases, if as we look here, if we go and we're going to put an image on it. So this canvas here is a whirl or a screen canvas, so it's in front of the camera always. It's not in the actual real world. So we need to change that to be a world space canvas. We also need to delete this here, the graphic raycaster, or it'll get in the way of this pointer behind it. So we need to get rid of that. Now, this canvas here is huge compared to the size of the world we're in, so we're going to scale it down here, say by 0.01 and 0.01, oops, 0.01, and then we will center it on our player, and then we'll double click on it and it'll bring us in here. So it's still too big, so much bigger than the camera. We also want to position it slightly forward on Z, so say 0.5. We'll move it a little bit forward so we can see our image. And that's simply because we don't want anything to come between the image and the camera, obscuring the timer. So I'm going to change the width of this to say, I don't know, 50 by 50. So it's a small canvas. And then in turn, I need to make my image much smaller. So we'll make this, I don't know, 10 by 10. I think that's slightly bigger than what I had originally, but that's plenty fine there. So then it's looking for a sprite. So I've imported a sprite here. Now this is just a PNG file that was made in Photoshop. So it's just a single layer. Made a circle, made another one, and saved it as a PNG file. So that's our gaze input. There's probably a little bit too big. It'll obscure what we're doing. And because of how we've positioned it, because the canvas is at 0, 0, 0, it'll always be centered on the camera. So it'll always be in the middle. So now what we need to do is have a look at the image for a minute. So the image at the moment is it's a simple image, so it's not going to animate or it's not going to move. So built into the image component in Unity is the ability to have an animated image, and we can have it wipe up, wipe down, or by default it's a radial wipe, which is exactly what we want. So it's going that way. Now I'm going to sure, we'll just leave it like that. So that's how we're going to control the it moving around. And then finally we need a script to control this, and so I have this script here called gaze timer. So I'm just going to open this and we'll have a look at it. So first of all, we've loaded in up here the Unity engine UI, because we're going to deal with a UI image, and this is it here, so we have to load it in as a variable. So I've called it gaze circle. I've got a total amount of time, so the amount of time that we want the timer to last for on the screen. So if we wanted to force the player to look for longer at the object, we could increase this number here. So at the moment it's going to be a 2-second look. We've got a bool, so are we looking at the object or not? This script is going to go on to the object that's going to be activated. And then we have looking time. So how long are we currently looking at it? So as we look at it, as we look for 1 second, 2 seconds, this will change and reflect the amount of time we're actually looking at the object. And then I don't need this here. This is just so I can show you something happening at the end of our event. So in the previous tutorial we set up this here. So we changed the color of the cube to red. So we can go in here and send the message to the cube red. So that's all that's for. So this is just so we can communicate with the cube. So we've got these are kind of just made up, these so look on and look off. So that's basically I'm looking at the object, I'm not looking at the object. So when I'm looking at the object, looking is true, and when I look away from the object, looking is false. And then I reset my timer, I'm no longer looking at it, and I reset the circle to 0. So the timer circle is now reset. And then this is the where it all happens. So if I'm looking at the object, the timer starts. So looking time is plus equals time.delta time, so it just starts counting up with a clock. And then this here, this fill amount, corresponds to this slider here. So this is fill amount. So at 1 it's complete, and at 0 we can't see it. So basically we just need to change this from 0 to 1. And how we do that is we divide our looking time, so the amount of time we're looking at it, by our total time. And that kind of gives us a value between 0 and 1 of how long we're looking at this. And as this number increases, and therefore this will get closer and closer and closer to 1. So when this reaches 2, it'll be 2 divided by 2, which is 1, so the circle will be complete. And then we're saying if the look time, so if I look for 2 seconds or longer, then send the message. So what do we do with this? Well, we save our script, and then we go back to Unity and we look at our cube here. And I've put the script onto the cube. Now it says it can't find the image, so it needs to be able to change how much of the image we can see. And you can see we've got our 2 seconds here, and we might change that in a minute to see how it affects it. And then we already had on this one gaze input, so I'm just going to so I can have more than one thing happen when I look at the cube, and more than one thing happen when I look away from the cube. So what I've done is I've dragged this in here, and I've said gaze time is turned on. So when I look at the cube, turn on that boolean, and then when I look away, so I drag this in here, I say gaze time is now off. So that's about the extent of what we have to do. So when we press play here and we look down, we can see that it starts, and then we turn red, and then what we can do up here is we can go have a look at this, and we'll say make this 5. So now we've got a 5-second timer, so we have to look for significantly longer at the cube before anything will happen. So you know, it depends on what way you want to drive your game, or how long you want to force a player to look at something before they make a decision. Or you can have it much faster. We'll just have it at 1. And yeah, so that's it. So that's so we'd already done gaze input. So this is just adding in a visual timer in the form of a circle that wipes around to indicate how much time is passing, and then after a specified amount of time has passed, an event can occur, which is what you use in most VR input. Okay, we'll leave it there for now.